My name's Emma Williams and I'm the Wales Manager for the Federation of City Farms and Community Gardens. For the last 4 years we've worked on the Welsh Government funded Tyfu Pobl programme. As part of that programme we wanted to capture some of the stories from community growing groups around Wales. We've made 7 short films which illustrate not only the health benefits, the environmental benefits and the social and economic benefits, but also the impact that community growing is having both locally and on a global perspective.
The way I look at forest gardening, or the idea of it, it's like the roots to everything that carries on, like community orchards or incredible edible towns and villages. It all has its fundamentals in this like growing all different types of food so that they're not just perennial stuff. And that's what forest garden's about. It's just, It's almost like today, I mean, we went foraging because we needed foliage. In a forest garden you can forage for whatever you need, but it's your own garden.
But it's that and our social immunity as well. It's major. So it's got some very basic things. It's like community food and products you can make from the garden. Today here has been about 40 people making Christmas wreaths. So it's all been for free. But the economic value, the equivalent of 40 wreaths, which is what, 200 to 400 pounds. But it's all been for free and everybody's had a really good time.
Hopefully 1 or 2 people will know that we are the Bangor Forest Garden, and they might try and find out what Forest Garden is or be reminded about it. And the nicest thing that we did this year was we did a skill sharing day at the garden with Federation City Farms Community Gardens, which was fantastic to actually have a lot of different things going on. And we were trying to soak up again people that maybe knew about the forest garden but hadn't visited. Yeah. And then we did various skills that people could join in and do and share. And then we hope to do another one with the Federation next year. Hopefully we'll make a bamboo yurt, which we're hoping that we'll actually be able to collect, harvest, process the bamboo that has been growing in the Bangor Forest Garden and make a yurt, if we've got enough bamboo, that is.
Yeah.
My name's Hassan Mzali. I'm one of the coordinators for Incredible Edible Wrexham.
So I'm Katie, I'm one of the coordinators working with the council and other organisations to help change wasteland into growing food land. Incredible Edible Wrexham is basically a group of individuals in a formal network of people growing food for local communities, in the local communities.
We are open to the public, and anything we plant, anything we grow is open for anybody to come and take.
And the people involved in the project get quite a lot of things out of it, it seems. I've had lots of nice feedback. Some of it obviously is the free food, but it seems to be more than that. It seems to be doing something for the community, improving the environment. We're working with each other.
My name's Harry. So the main benefits for me from the project, apart from this bunch of purple sprouting broccoli I have in my pocket, I love the fact that it makes people aware of the possibility of gardening in the town centre. You know, we had a guy come down here last year who said he had to shoplift every day for food. You know, and it's crazy that we have all of this green space available and it's not used.
The area on Madeira Hill was particularly wasteland. When I approached the council to do it, they looked at it and said, well, you can't make it any worse. So they let us do it, and it was true, we couldn't make it any worse, and we have made it better. And it's been great, people walking past and joining in and helping out.
I think because of the project being pretty new in our area, that we're still starting to see the impact, but there definitely is. More and more people are interested, more and more people want to take part and get involved, especially when we're doing the tree planting. We usually get a big crowd.
I love that people are just happy to join in and to take the food as well. You know, we take photos and we put it on the website and things like that. And I even took photos where people had cut off a cauliflower or cut off some Brussels sprouts because I was just so happy that people were harvesting. When the project I visited today, Gwenroe Valley CIC approached us and asked if we wanted to do any work there, and that's just a great project, the Adventure Playground, where kids are quite empowered there to do all kinds of creative things.
I believe community food growing projects are really important.
Reducing food miles, helping with climate change, bringing the food close to home, making the place look lovely.
Getting people back onto the land. These kinds of small gardens, they're so productive, and you can generate so much food from a small space.
Community is the basis of all security for food production, I believe, because growing food en masse and exporting it around the world isn't a solution. There's a lot of resources that are being wasted, and we have loads of spaces all over the place in every town centre that are not being really used, and think more can be done everywhere, all over the place really. Right now, food security in Wales is pretty dangerous, I'd say. Again, everything is based on fossil fuels. Everything is based on mass food production and on importing and exporting foods travelling all across the globe. And we need to really revert back to local economies, local food growing, and getting communities more involved. And that's how we're going to find food security.
I think it's about taking responsibility for our own needs.
So Green Isle Growers Veg Box Scheme is a cooperative of local growers, and we sell in a veg box every week, and we sell to 45 local customers. I guess our box scheme is just basically a hub for local growers to work together and sell their produce.
I suppose the major benefit for me has been the support of other growers, because it's a labour-intensive job that often you do on your own on the land. So there's a brilliant sense of being supported by people, and we share tips and information. And really feeling part of something that's incredibly valuable, feeding the local community and getting to know local customers who consume our food. They come to visit the site, so there's information sharing and sense of community.
Well, we're really lucky that here in Machynlleth we have a really supportive community who are really into local food. So there's a huge demand around here for locally grown food, which we actually can't meet. So whatever we grow, it's always going to sell because we've got such supportive customers. Our box scheme has made a massive difference to the local community because it's upped the amount of local veg which is available.
Definitely a sense that we're contributing as well to the local economy being more stable. You know, people in rural Wales simply can't find jobs, many of them, although they want to work. So we're not unemployed, we're underemployed, and we have to create our own niche. So it's a wonderful way to actually give back to the community and feel that we're part of something and producing something that's of real value to people.
We were all already growers in the area, and although we knew each other, we were kind of competing with each other. And as the coordinator of the Green Isle Growers Veg Box Scheme, I just said, hey, let's have a meeting and let's just work out how we can work together. And in the end, that meant that those growers joined my veg box scheme, and it meant that we could have just one coordinator, one set of accounts, one set of customers, but we could all sell through the same outlet. And actually, it just made so much sense to us all to work together. It meant that we could produce more food, we could have less gluts, and we all had more time to dedicate to growing.
The importance of community growing projects is to do with community empowerment, I think, most of all, that people can feel that they can make a positive contribution to the community. And knowing where your food comes from, knowing how it's grown, and that it doesn't have any additional nasties added to it is really important to people. And what we're finding is more and more people want food that is clean.
Well, we've been to some of the Federation of City Farms and Community Gardens networking events as well. We've been able to talk to other people from other projects. The training we got was on accountancy and good governance, and we straight away took that back to our project and started applying it to how we could run better. When we went to visit Coombe Harry Box Scheme in Newtown, we were able to see ways that they're working, which we were able to bring back and apply to our own scheme to make it run better.
Food growing at a local level is something we all need to be doing. And it's only very recently that we've been flying our apples in from Egypt and places like that, and it's not sustainable. It's probably not healthy either, and there are lots of studies that show that if you eat what's growing locally in your environment, that's much better for your body and for the community and the land. So I really think that these sorts of projects are bringing us back to something that we all need to be thinking about much more long term, on a much bigger scale for the future. And the way forward is really lots and lots of small-scale organic growers producing food at local level.
I'm Gary Mitchell. I help coordinate some of what we're about on this site and other sites around Mid Wales, and we operate under the charity of Cwm Land Trust, but we run a separate entity called Cultivate, which is a cooperative, a sort of a members workers cooperative involving general public, service users, producers, retailers, a whole group of people come together, and one of our aims and ethoses is around improving the local food economy. We run a veg box scheme which we've been doing for 14, 15 years now. We've got some very loyal and dedicated customers around the communities that we deliver to, and some come and collect, which is great. And then 3 years ago we won a big lottery bid under a project called Get Growing, and that was about introducing people to the idea of community gardening, and that's what we've been running here for the last 3 years on this site. I suppose we would class ourselves as a sort of can-do think tank, so we're a bunch of thinkers, but actually we're quite practically minded as well. We are quite diverse, and I suppose that reflects on the people that we work with, so we've got a diverse group that we support, or they support us as well, and it is mutually benefit. Some of the key reasons that our volunteers perhaps come to us, I think one of the big ones is the social element. They really perhaps live an isolated life, they might be elderly, they might be single parents, unemployed, etc, etc, and what we can offer them is just an opportunity to socialise with other people, even if it's only for a couple of hours, change of scenery. They can come and do a bit of physical work, so they can sort of build up a bit of a sweat, and then we feed them, so we introduce them to actually healthy eating via that method, although we'd never sort of ram it down their throat like that. But yeah, I would say the social element is a big one. Building confidence. For a lot of the volunteers we work with, they perhaps do come to us quite shy, quite reserved, a little bit insular, but over a number of months, perhaps even years in some cases, they really start to sort of turn their lives around and become much more confident. They're able to do much more things on their own outside of what we offer them, which is great. We hear some amazing stories about what they get up to in their spare time. We've had some reasonable youngsters come to us with severe sort of drug dependency problems, but actually through just connecting with us on a bit of a light touch, we've managed to introduce other ideas to them, other things that they might be able to try, and actually some have ended up travelling around the world, which is fantastic. We're only connected to one or two wider organisations, and they really have to be of benefit to us to warrant either a membership fee or our time and input and things. And one of the ones that we do really work well with is the Federation of City Farm Community Gardens. What they offer us is that huge network that they've got as member groups and even non-member groups, spread all across Wales, the rest of the UK. We could be a little bit insular and just look what happens within our own boundaries, but actually what the Fed offers us opportunities is to go and have a look at other projects, learn from others. Lots of projects come and visit us, which is great, so it's knowledge sharing is key. And I think it is a real worry for us even, just focusing on what we're up to, not what's going on in the wider world. And the Fed, they have that ability to perhaps work on some of the policy issues. We would love to dream of being able to influence some of the Welsh Government policies, but we're not an organisation that's perhaps strong enough or got time or capacity to do that. But we can offer our input to perhaps a consultation via the Federation, and they can do it via the masses, which is great. So it's real sort of people power, people movement.
Hello, I'm Mark Street, and I helped start this project off, had this idea a good few years ago, and with a great bit of help from the community, we finally made Brick Growers and Our Garden, community garden. The people involved here in Brick Growers and Our Garden seem to get an awful lot more than I could ever quantify out of being involved with the project, from skills shares, friendships made, and even job opportunities. So it's very, very hard to quantify that because they get so much out of it, and an awful lot of health benefits as well. There's been a huge impact on the community locally, as this was a bit of a no-go area several years ago. Since the garden has been here, we've had 0 troubles at all. The population have really gelled together, and it's been quoted that this is the glue of the community. It's tremendous how it's brought people together, and they do support it tremendously. On a good summer's day, or throughout the summer last year, the average was about 75 people a day would turn up. Just chew over the cud under the tree there, have a cup of tea, coffee. Some would get involved and do some things, but it's become a great meeting place as well. Valleys to Coast, the local housing association here, have brought forward their maintenance programme by a good while because of the positive changes in what they've seen, what the garden has done to people around here. They've all gained new skills and friendships, and they've looked after things. Vandalism has really dropped in the area. Fly tipping and things like that, they're starting to take care of their homes and gardens an awful lot more, and I think it's through the garden. Key achievements. In the beginning, it was hard persuading local councillors and other agencies and whatever that it was going to be a worthwhile project and to literally let us have a chance and prove ourselves. Valleys to Coast, the local housing association, had these 2 small plots of ground where there were homes on there 20 odd years ago. They were demolished and said we could use these spaces. And through them giving us this chance, I think we've more than proved the worth and the need and the benefits of having a community garden. Federation City Farms gatherings have been absolutely brilliant. We've attended several of those. We've got an awful lot out of it, even if it's just meeting like-minded people and things like that and sharing a common interest is great for some of our guys here who they've led pretty sheltered, almost insular lives for a great number of years. It's brought them out, it's shown them there's a big wide world out there, and look at the things that can be accomplished if you work together. Support received from the Federation City Farms Community Gardens has been absolutely tremendous. We've got an awful lot of friendships being made up from the officers and other community gardens in the areas, well, throughout Wales really. So far, there's hopefully going to be some links with England and Scotland as well, but the friendships has been the biggest and important things, and also just if you've got an idea that you're a little bit uncertain of, more often than not, ring them up and they can just give you that pat on the shoulder. Yeah, you're doing okay. You know, you're on the right track there, don't give up. And that's what's important, I find, with the project, because sometimes you just don't know which way to turn, to what to do for the best, and they're the guys with the experience.
My name is Ian Thompson. I'm a project manager at St Peter's Community Hall and Gardens. The work we do here is a relationship between nature and people. One of the things that is very important within our relationship is developing people, bringing in their self-esteem, their self-confidence, social inclusion, which is often not there when something happens to them. A lot of people that come here, they've had accidents which has caused brain damage. We have a relationship with different organisations where they come with their support worker, and we actually work in the gardens, developing, educating and helping people back into employment. Local people, they think in different ways about the project. Most of the people around here have been involved in it. A community garden has to be built by the community. If it's not, it really isn't a community garden. In doing that, we offer something very special. People give their time. When they give their time, they do hard work as well, and they develop what you'll probably see around the gardens today. Well, all the people that work here are volunteers. The wider community, when they come here, are volunteers. The wider community, when they actually talk about the gardens to you and they bring some plants in. All the plants that we have in the gardens go into many thousands of pounds. They've all been donated over a period of time. It may be a lady around the corner living that will come in and offer us a plant. Or it may be that we get an expert that will come along and tell us exactly how to do certain things. And that education is very, very important. innovate, they come here. An organisation that actually places vulnerable adults here, that's one of the organisations. We're looking at twinning with Amelia Trust at the moment, but we work with Amelia Trust. The school behind us, Fairwater Primary School, they're involved. They have a lot of classes here. They come across for events here. I could go on and on. Let's put it another way. We have involved from social services of Cardiff City right the way through to different businesses that have helped us. Well, we may be looking at about 20 to 30 organisations that are involved with it at the Gardens. So the ambition is to continue what we're doing, continue to do it well, provide something very special for people, which is a life. When somebody gets hit hard by a shock to the system in some way, and it brings them to us, where we can do something and we can do something to help, well, yeah, that's the future. I have to say, when we started this project, and you probably can see by the smile on my face, I've got a lot to say about the Federation. When we started the project, I went to Spectrum across the road from us, and there was a course being run by Federation. It was the start of it. It was putting together a relationship that has gone on now for the last 8 years. They were there at the beginning, and they've been with us right the way through. We've attended events, we've had an incredible amount of support from them in different ways, and we've attended training, and it's been effective here within the Gardens.
I was born here and I've been farming here for over 50 years. It's been through a tough history in trying to survive as small farmers do. This farm used to milk 70 cows, grow early potatoes, and we used to grow 30 acres of corn. You know, it's my wife Anne and myself who farmed the place. We used to employ over 25 to 30 casual people, 2 full-time people, but all that has changed radically because of the market being dominated by supermarkets and the price of the produce not being able to give us a living. In 2003 we sold our cows because we were losing 10,000 a year and working all hours to produce the milk. When we sold the cows, my son Kaz was home with us then. He'd come home from school to farm with us, and he had to leave the farm and look for a job. There wasn't the income here to support another partner and support 2 families. So that's the radical history of the farm, which I'm sure many farmers have gone through the same as we have.
Ever since, you know, as my son is now from 8 years of age, working on the farm, helping out, and from the age of 16 I left school, I came home, and then set in mind to stay here and farm for the rest of my life. When I was about 20, 21, we sold the cattle, and that income wasn't coming in, and I was forced to find another job. And I've been away from the farm for about 10 years, and I came back 4 years ago, and it's nice to be back, have the same life I did, you know, when I was a child to give to my son. When Dad started Coca 5 years ago, it was always the plan for me to come home and be the grower. So it took a year to get going, and then we made the decision. And Coca pay half my wage, and the farm pays the other half of my wage. So to be honest, without Coca, I wouldn't be at home, I'd still be away from the farm. So it was a big influence on me coming home.
The farm turned organic in 1997. I was unsure of farming as it was, using so much chemicals. I think one was ill-advised on what chemicals we used and the danger of them. It took 2 years in conversion to change to organic, and you need that 2 years really to change your mindset we'll never change. This is the way we want to farm. I think it's a good way to farm. It's a healthy way to farm. And science now is proving that, you know, having healthy food is of prime importance. Forming a CSA on this farm has brought a community spirit onto the farmyard. We believe we are doing now the job really a farmer, what we're born to do, is producing food from our farm to local people. And this idea, this is the way to feed the world. This is the way to feed Wales. Because if every small farm did their own CSA in their own area, you wouldn't need food packaging, you wouldn't need supermarkets, and you'd be feeding people directly. The Fed does a fantastic job, I think, as promoting CSAs. It's one of the prime groups in the country that actually help to give it respect and to promote it right through. We need to have the true value paid for food. Until we realize that, to me as a farmer, it's an insult when you compare a bottle of water, bottle of fuel and bottle of milk. And even the bottle of water is dearer than the milk. Now we've got to bring respect back to food and appreciate it.
Community growing changes lives. Year after year our numbers are increasing. If you want to be a part of this growing revolution, just get in touch.